إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه أما بعد يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وأحسن الهدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار ثم أما بعد يا عباد الله. We left off in the last class while going over the affair that actions are a must, and that the slave, he must bring forth his actions, and that the slave, he has a choice and he has free will. And believing in such is part of the proper belief in qada'i wal qadar, that the slave has a choice and he has a free will. So therefore, he has to exercise that will in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and thus he will be rewarded insha'Allah. And he is prohibited from exercising that will in the disobedience of Allah Jalla wa ala. And if he does so, then he may be punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is a must that we understand this point, that the human beings have a free will. The Shaykh, he goes on to say, فَلَا بُدَّ مِنَ الْإِيمَانِ بِهَذَا وَأَنَّهُ مَعَ الْإِيمَانِ بِالْقَضَاءِ وَالْقَدَرِ نُؤْمِنُ أَنَّ الْعِبَادِ لَهُمْ أَفْعَالٌ وَلَهُمْ إِرَادَةٌ وَلَهُمْ مَشِيئَةٌ. He says, so it is a must that we believe in this, because this is from the Iman bil Qada'i wal Qadar. This is from the Iman in al Qada' wal Qadar. So we believe that the slave, he has his actions, and that he has his wants, and that he has his free will. لا كما تقوله الجبرية, not like the Jabriya they say. The Jabriya, they say, إن العباد مجبرون ومحركون فقط ليس لهم اختيار. The Jabriya, they say that the slaves, they are forced. They are forced and they are made to do actions that they have no choice. They're forced to do it, and they're just moving and going through the motions, but they don't have any choice in the matter. وَلَا كَمَا تَقُولُ الْمُعْتَزِلَةُ وَالْقَدَرِيَّةُ. Nor do we say the like of what the Mu'tazila and the Qadariyya they say. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَيْسَ لَهُ قَضَاءٌ وَقَدَرٌ. They say that Allah does not have any preordainment, does not have any qadr, no preordainment, nothing is preordained. إِنَّمَا الْعِبَادُ يَسْتَقِلُونَ بِأَفْعَالِهِمْ. But rather the slaves, they are alone when it comes to their actions. They do their actions autonomously. نعم. وَهُمُ الَّذِينَ يَخْلُقُونَ أَفْعَالَهُم. And this is what the Qadariyya they say. And the Mu'tazila, they say that the slave, he is the one who creates his actions. وَعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. They say the slave is the one who creates his actions بِقُدْرَتِهِمْ. Or the slaves, they are those who create their actions by their qudra, by their power and their ability. لَيْسَ بِإِرَادَةِ اللَّهِ. Not in accordance to that which Allah has allowed. So they believe that these slaves can do things of which Allah Ta'ala has not allowed. حَاشَ لِلَّهِ. أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ. وَلَا بِقَضَاءِ اللَّهِ وَقَدْرِهِ. And they say not by the preordainment of Allah, nor by His qadr. نعم. أعوذ بالله. فَكُلُّ هَذَا بِلَا شَكٍّ بَاطِلٌ. All of this, without a doubt, it is wrong. It is wrong with the Jibreel. They say that the slave, he just goes through the motions and he's forced. But he doesn't have a choice. Nor like the opposite extreme of the Mu'tazila wal Qadariyya, who say that there's no such thing as qada'i wal qadar, and that verily the slave, he autonomously does his actions, and that he creates his actions. A'udhu billah. فالمعتزلة والقدرية والجبرية على طرفي نقيض. You will find that the Jibreel and the Qadariyya, they are on two opposite sides. And on the side with the Qadariyya also is who? The Mu'tazila. Naam. That these groups, they are upon opposite and opposing sides. They went to both extremes. وَأَمَّا أَهْلُ السُنَّةِ وَالْجَمَاعَةِ. But أهل السنة والجماعة, they're right there in the middle. They're right in the middle on the haqq. نعم. معتدلون في هذا. They're in the middle with regards to this. يقولون Allah جل وعلا قدر الأشياء. They say that Allah, He has preordained things. ولكنه أعطى العباد الاختيار والمشيئة والإرادة والقدرة على فعل أو ترك. But at the same time, Allah Ta'ala, He creates things, but Allah Ta'ala, He preordains things. He has preordained things, but at the same time, the slave has a choice. Allah Ta'ala has also given the slave a choice. So he has a choice and he has a free will. He has the ability to either do an action or to leave off an action. Naam. And this is the haqq that the proofs and the evidences point to. This is the haqq that the Quran and the Sunnah, it points to. Naam, that there is a qadr, and that the human being has a free will, but that free will follows the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ma sha'Allah kan wa ma lam yasha lam yakun. Whatever Allah wants is, whatever Allah has not willed is not. Naam. And we have went over this fact which refutes the likes of these groups in the one ayah, where Allah Ta'ala says, وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا إِن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. And they won't have the will to do so except that Allah has already willed such, the Lord of all that exists. Naam. So this ayah confirms the fact that what? That the human beings have a free will. So this is a refutation upon the Jabriyya, as we mentioned before. And it also establishes the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a will, and that Allah ta'ala's will is not superseded, but rather Allah ta'ala's will, it comes before any other will. Na'am. And all the wills follow the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a refutation on the Qadariyya, who say that that Allah does not have a will. There's no such thing as qadar. Na'am. We have too many proofs and evidences which point to the fact that there is qadr. Too many proofs and evidences will point to the fact to the human beings have a will. Too many proofs and evidence was point to the fact to all wills are superseded and by Allah Ta'ala's will, and all wills follow the will of Allah Jalla wa Ala. Naam. The Shaykh goes on and he says, قال الله تعالى, that Allah Ta'ala, he says, إِنَّ سَعْيَكُمْ لَشَتَّى, that verily the deeds and the actions in which you put forth, then they're going to be various. They're going to be of different types. And this is, beyond the shadow of a doubt, the haqq. And everyone realizes this. Naam. Allah Ta'ala, he goes on and he says, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى وَأَمَّا مَنْ بَخِلَ وَاسْتَغْنَى وَكَذَّبَ بِالْحُسْنَى فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْعُسْرَى. Allah Jalla wa Ala, in these ayat, He makes it extremely clear that the human beings, their deeds are going to be various. Because what? Because Allah Ta'ala has given the human beings the ability to either do something or to not do something. To choose to be like this or to choose to be like that. Naam. So Allah Ta'ala, He says what means, and certainly your efforts and your deeds will be diverse. They will be different in their aims and in their purposes. As for him who gives charity and keeps his duty to Allah, and he fears Allah, then for him is al-husna. For him will be the paradise. For him will be the Jannah. But as for the one, and he will make easy for him the path of ease. He will make easy for him the path of ease, meaning the path of good deeds, because good begets good. Naam. So it will be made easy for him the path of ease. But as for the one who is greedy and a miser, and he thinks himself to be self-sufficient, and he denies al-husna, he doesn't believe in the Jannah, then Allah will make easy for him the path for the evil. Naam. Because jaza min jinsin al-amal, because the punishment will fit the crime. The punishment will fit the crime. He want evil, so evil will beget for him evil. Naam. Evil will beget for him evil. Wa'iyadu billah. Ala kulli hal, we see in this ayah that the human beings, they have a choice either to do this or either to do that. Some will be like this and some will be like that. Some will be believers and some will be disbelievers. Some will choose to believe and some will choose to disbelieve. Some will choose to do righteous actions and some will choose not to do righteous actions, and so on and so forth. وهذا فيه رد على الجبرية الذين ينفون أفعال العباد واختيارهم. So this is a refutation on the Jabriya, those who they deny the actions of the ibad, of the slaves, and the fact that they have a choice. وما عليه أهل السنة والجماعة هو مقتضى القرآن والسنة. But that which Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah is upon, they are upon that which is necessitated by the Quran and the Sunnah. That which the Quran and the Sunnah it points to. وهو الاعتدال بين الجبرية والقدرية, and it is the middle path and moderation between the Jabriya and between the Qadariya. The Shaykh, he goes on and he says فلا بد من الإيمان بالقدر بجميع هذه المراتب. So it is incumbent that we believe in al-qadr with all of these different levels, all of these different levels and issues of which we had been speaking about for these past weeks and months about al-qadr. Naam. That we have to believe in each and every aspect that was mentioned. فَمَنْ زَعَمَ أَنَّهُ لَا قَدَرٍ, and the one who doesn't believe that there is qadr, and this is an important point that I want each and every one of us to know, because now this is another subtopic. This is dealing with the one who doesn't believe in al-qadr and he knows better. Naam. And likewise the opposite, the one who doesn't believe in qadr, but he doesn't know any better. So what is the ruling for this one, and what is the ruling for that one? And this is what the Shaykh is going to speak about next. The ruling for the one who denies the qadr and he knows better, and the one who denies the qadr and he don't know. What is the ruling? Because they both have two different rulings. The Shaykh, he says, فَلَا بُدَّ مِنَ الْإِيمَانِ بِالْقَدْرِ بِجَمِيعِ هَذِهِ الْمَرَاتِبِ فَمَنْ زَعَمَ أَنَّهُ لَا قَدْرَ وَأَنَّ الْعِبَادِ هم الذين يخلقون أفعالهم دون قدر الله كالمعتزلة والقدرية فهذا إن كان مبينا لهذا الرأي وهو يعلم الأدلة ولكنه ينكرها ويأخذ برأيه فهذا كافر بلا شك. So the first one now is the one who denies it and he knows better. It is the one who denies it and he knows better. So the Shaykh, he says, so the one who believes, who erroneously believes that there is no such thing as qadr, and that verily the slaves, they are the one who create their own actions without the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like that which is believed by the Mu'tazila and the Qadariyah. That this one, if he is well informed, well aware of this particular opinion, he takes his opinion while he's well aware, and he knows the proofs and the evidences was point to the opposite of it. He knows the proofs and the evidences was point to the opposite of it. But even with that, he denies them. He denies the proofs and the evidences, like the Hadeeth of Jibreel, like these ayat in which we had mentioned, which point to the proof. They are proofs which establish al-qadr, that there is qadr. Naam. That the one who denies these proofs and evidences, and he rather take to his own opinion, which is opposite and contrary to it, then this one beyond the shadow of a doubt is a kafir. This one beyond the shadow of a doubt is a kafir. Naam. And this is like those ones whom Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma was talking about in this particular hadith Jibreel, in the beginning of it. Naam. قال عبد الله ابن عمر رضي الله تعالى عنهما ليحيى بن يعمر التابعي فإذا لقيت هؤلاء فاخبرهم أني بريء منهم وأنهم براء مني. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he told Yahya bin Ya'mar, who was a tabi'i, who he heard about some people in his area who had came out and they started to say that there was no such thing as qadr. The qadariyah were in his area. Naam. So he asked Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma about this. Ala kullin, we mentioned this in the beginning of these classes, so please refer back to that and you'll have the hadith in its totality, or this beginning part, the muqaddimah in the totality for this hadith. Abdullah ibn Umar, he said to them, so if you run into one of these people, who believe there is no qadr, then inform them that I am free from them and they are free from me. Now, then this was an indication that those whom they were free from, then they were not upon the same religion as them. So this is an indication of that they were kuffar. So this is meaning who? Kuffar who? The ones who deny the qadr and they know better. Who deny the qadr and they know the proofs and the evidences. The ones who recite the proofs and evidences and then try to twist them and this and that to misguide the people, and they know better. They know they're wrong, but yet they still want to believe in what they believe in. Then these ones, the ruling for them is that they are kuffar. But you see, Islam is not black and white. The issue, the affair is not black and white. So therefore, the Shaykh, he mentions now, what about if they don't know? What about if they just blind following? They don't know. So the Shaykh, he says, أَمَّا إِنْ كَانَ مُقَلِّلًا أَوْ جَاهِلًا فَهَذَا يُبَيِّنُ لَهُ. What about the one who doesn't know or he's ignorant? The Shaykh, he says, so as far as the one who is just a blind follower and the one who is ignorant, he doesn't know, then this one you have to explain it to him. This one, you have to explain it to him. Meaning what? We don't make takfir on him. We don't say he's a kafir. But we have to explain it to him. Now, this one, we explain. فإن أصر على الكفر بالقدر فإنه يحكم بكفره. But if he remains consistent upon his denial and disbelief in the qadr, then at that point the ruling for him will be kufr. نعم. لكن إن كان جاهلا, but if he doesn't know, أو كان مقلدا, or he's just a blind follower, he's just saying that which he heard the other people in his country or his land saying, نعم, لا يكفر من أول الأمر. Then this one, we don't make takfir of him from the beginning of the affair. He's a Muslim, he just doesn't know. وإنما يبين له ويشرح له الأمر. But rather, the affair has to be made clear to him and explained to him. فإن رجع فالحمد لله. If he returns, alhamdulillah. وإن أصر فإنه يكون كافرا. But if he remains consistent upon this, then at that point he will be a kafir. So this is important now for us to know. Then the Shaykh, he moves into a next issue that we had mentioned before about taking the asbab. About taking the asbab. So the Shaykh, he says, وَلَا يَكْفِي أَن تُؤْمِنَ بِالْقَضَاءِ وَالْقَدَرِ بَلْ لَابُدَّ أَن تَعْمَلَ وَلَا تَتَّكِلَ عَلَى الْقَضَاءِ وَالْقَدَرِ وتقول إن قدر الله لي فيحصل وإن لم يقدره فإنه لا يحصل ولا حاجة إلى العمل كما يقوله الجبرية. Shaykh says it is not sufficient. It's not sufficient to just believe in qada'i wal qadar and not bring forth actions, but rather an individual, he must bring forth actions. He can't rely upon the qada' wal qadar and say statements like, well, if Allah has decreed it for me, then it will happen. If He has not decreed it for me, then it won't happen. And there's no, I have no need to try to bring forth actions. This is like what the Jibreel, they say. فَهَذَا بَاطِل. This is erroneous. بِلَا شَكْ وَبِلَا رَيْبٍ. An individual must bring forth the actions. لأن الله أمر, because Allah Ta'ala, He has commanded بِاتِخَاذِ الْأَسْبَابِ, that you have to take the asbab, you have to take the means. Naam. And we have mentioned this before, and this was actually part of one of the homework assignments, to read Surah Maryam, because therein they would have come across Allah Ta'ala's statement as it comes in the 25th ayah of Surah Maryam. Allah Ta'ala, He says, وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ بِجَذِعِ النَّخْلِ تُسَاقِطْ عَلَيْكِ رُطُبًا جَنِيًّا. Allah Ta'ala, He says what means, and shake the trunk of the date palm towards you. It will let fall fresh, ripe dates upon you. Naam. And to shake the trunk of the date palm towards you, and it will let fall fresh, ripe dates upon you. The poet, he said some lines of poetry which are beautiful with regards to this affair. He says, أَلَمْ تَرَى أَنَّ اللَّهَ قَالَ لِمَرْيَمَ وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ بِجَذْعِ النَّخْلَ تُسَاقِطْ الرَّطُبُ وَلَوْ شَاءَ أَسْقَطَهُ مِنْ غَيْرِ حُزِّهَا وَلَكِنْ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ سَبَبُ. He says, have you not seen that Allah has said to Maryam, and shake the date palm tree, shake the date palm tree until you, so that the fresh dates will fall upon you. Naam. He says, if Allah willed, He would have brought the date down upon her without her shaking it. However, everything has its reason. Everything has its reason. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He commanded Maryam alayhi salatu wasalam to take the reason, to take the means, and the cause. He commanded her to do such. Because Allah Ta'ala, He commands us to take the means and the causes. He commands us to put forth the footwork. The tawfiq is from Allah Jalla wa Ala. But we have been commanded to what? To bring forth the actions, to bring forth the asbab. This is what is upon us. Amara bis-sa'i fi ta'atillah. Allah Ta'ala, He commands us to compete and to race and to hurry in His obedience. Naam. وَلَا يَتَّكِلُ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى الْقَضَاءِ وَالْقَدَرِ. And a human being, he cannot just depend upon al-qada'i wal-qadar, but rather we have been commanded to what? To take the asbab. We have to bring forth the means and the actions and the like. This is something that is important and is a must for us to know and to understand. Naam. وَإِنَّمَا يَعْمَلُ. So the man, he has to work. The woman, she has to work. You have to put forth actions. وَيَتَحَرَّكُ وَيَطْلُبُ الْخَيْرِ وَيَتْرُكُ الشَّرِّ. So therefore, we have to bring forth actions, and we have to move out, and we have to seek after that which is good, and we have to leave off the evil. وَهُوَ لَا يُجَازَ عَلَى الْقَضَاءِ وَالْقَدَرِ. Because the human being, he will not be rewarded for the qada'i wal qadar, nor will he be punished for the qada'i wal qadar. إِنَّمَا يُجَازَ عَلَى عَمَلِهِ. But rather he will be rewarded or punished because of his actions. وَعَلَى كَدِّهِ وَكَسْبِهِ. And because of his hard work and that which he has brought forth, the fruits of his labor, that which he has, repercussions of his actions. وَعَلَى إِرَادَتِهِ وَنِيَّتِهِ وَقَصْدِهِ. And upon that which he has intended, that which is his intention, that which he wanted and willed, his intention. This is what he will be rewarded about. Now, about his intentions, what he willed and his actions. فَهُوَ يُحَاسَبُ عَلَى أَعْمَالِهِ. So he will be rewarded or punished upon his actions. He will be judged upon his actions. وَيُجَازَ عَلَى أَعْمَالِهِ. And he will be rewarded or punished based upon his actions. فَإِنْ كَانَتْ خَيْرًا فَخَيْرٌ. If they are good, then he will get good. وَإِنْ كَانَتْ شَرًّا فَشَرٌ. And if they are evil, then he will receive the evil. He will be punished. This is an important point for us to know, and I would like for everyone to arrange their notes as such, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, that this is a subtopic of what? That we have to bring forth the asbab. We have to bring forth the means. And the proof for this particular point will be Surah Maryam, verse 25. Surah Maryam, verse 25. Naam. Tayyib. The Shaykh, he goes on to another issue, and that is the issue of Iman and Islam. Is there a difference between Islam and Iman? Is there a difference between Al-Islam and Al-Iman? Naam, the Shaykh, he goes into the details of this. So this is another subtopic that I want you to have, inshallah ta'ala, inside of your notes, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And actually, this topic is outside of the topic of Qadr. As a topic of Qadr, we have come to a conclusion with that which we just mentioned, that last subtopic of bringing forth the asbab. Okay? So now we want to deal with an issue that's linked to Iman. Actually, it's two issues linked to Iman. But bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, today we will just take the first, and we'll save the second to the next class, inshallah ta'ala. طيب. The Shaykh, he says, هذه هي أركان الإيمان. This what was mentioned, and these are the arkan of Iman. فالأركان الإسلام, and these are the arkan of Islam, because prior to mentioning and going over the arkan of Islam, of Iman, we went over the arkan of Islam. Now, so I want everyone to go back to their notes and to refresh on the pillars of Islam and the pillars of Iman, inshallah ta'ala. Now the issue, as we mentioned, is there a difference between Iman and Islam? Or are they the same? Or are they sometimes different and sometimes the same? The Shaykh is going to explain, inshallah ta'ala. He says, وَالْإِسْلَامُ وَالْإِيمَانُ مَرْتَبَتَانِ عَظِيمَتَانِ مِنْ مَرَاتِبِ الدِّينِ. That Islam and Iman, there are two tremendous levels from the levels of the deen. فَإِذَا اجْتَمَعَا, and when they come together, when they're mentioned back to back, بِأَنْ ذُكِرَ الْإِسْلَامُ وَالْإِيمَانُ, and when they're mentioned together, yani mentioning al-Islam and Iman together, like in this hadith. فُسِّرَ الْإِسْلام بِالْأَعْمَالِ الظَّاهِرَةِ, then Islam will mean the apparent actions. Then Islam will mean the apparent actions, like the Shahadatain, like the Salah, like the Zakah, Sawm Ramadan, Hajjul Bayt, and the like. It will refer to the apparent actions, the action that a person puts forth that can be seen by others. Naam. وَفُسِّرَ الْإِيمَانِ بِأَعْمَالِ الْقَلْبِ, and Iman will be understood as the actions of the heart, like the belief in Allah, the belief in His angels, the belief in His books, the belief in His messengers, the belief in the Day of Judgment, the belief in qadr khayrihi wa sharrih. All of these things are what? Actions of the heart. These are beliefs, actions of the heart. So if they're mentioned together in one sentence, like it comes in this hadith, or they're mentioned back to back as it comes in this hadith, or they're mentioned in one sentence, then Islam will mean the apparent actions, and Iman will mean the actions of what? Of the heart. Those hidden actions, the actions of the heart. نعم. كما في هذا الحديث عمر رضي الله تعالى عنه, like it comes in this hadith of Umar رضي الله تعالى عنه. وكما في قوله تعالى, also like it comes in Allah Ta'ala's statement in Surah Al-Ahzab. In Surah Al-Ahzab it's mentioned in one sentence, إِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ وَالْمُسْلِمَاتِ وَالْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ, that verily those Muslim men and women, those believing men and women. Now it comes back to back. So we understand Muslim here means what? Those who bring forth the apparent actions. Naam. And mu'min is what? Is the one who believes correctly in his heart. The one who believes correctly in his heart. Naam. فَأَمَّا إِذَا ذُكِرَ أَحَدُهُمَا, so this is if they are mentioned together. So if they are mentioned together, then Islam will refer to the apparent actions. If they are mentioned together, then Iman will refer to the actions of the heart. But if they are mentioned separately, if Islam is mentioned by itself, or Iman is mentioned by itself, وَأَمَّا إِذَا ذُكِرَ أَحَدُهُمَا وَحْدَهُ دَخَلَ فِيهِ الْآخَرِ, but if one is mentioned by itself, then the other will enter into it. So if Islam is mentioned by itself, then Iman enters into it as well. It's understood Islam and Iman. And if Iman is mentioned by itself, then Islam enters into it. So it's understood Iman and Islam. Now, it's important to know. The Shaykh, he goes on and he says, فَإِذَا ذُكِرَ الْإِسْلَامُ وَحْدَ دَخَلَ فِيهِ الْإِيمَانِ لأنه لا يكون إسلاما صحيحا إلا بالإيمان. He said, so if Islam is mentioned by itself, then Iman also enters into it, because there is no correct Islam without Iman. You understand? There is no correct Islam without Iman. وإذا ذكر الإيمان وحده دخل فيه الإسلام لأنه لا يكون إيمانا صحيحا إلا بالإسلام. He says, and if Iman is mentioned by itself, then Islam enters into it, because there is no true Iman without Islam. There is no true iman without Islam. فَلَا بُدَّ مِنْ اجْتِمَاعِ الْأَمْرَيْنِ. So there has to be a merging and a coupling of both affairs. There has to be a merging and a coupling of both affairs. نعم. وَلَا يَنْفَعْ أَحَدُهُمَا دُونَ الْآخَرِ. And one of them will have no benefit without the other. One of them will have no benefit without the other. فَلَا إِسْلَامْ بِدُونَ الْإِيمَانِ. There is no Islam without Iman. وَلَا إِيمَانْ بِدُونَ الْإِسْلَامِ. And there is no Iman without the Islam. نعم. يعني لا تكفي الأعمال الظاهرة عن أعمال القلب. Meaning that the apparent actions won't suffice an individual from the actions of the heart. So a person can't bring forth the apparent actions, but yet he doesn't believe. Because if that was to happen, right? A person bring forth apparent actions. He prays, he says Shahadatain, he fasts Ramadan, so on and so, fight jihad, fi sabilillah, X, Y, Z. But he does not believe in his heart. Then do we call this person a mu'min, Muslim? No. But rather we call this person what? A munafiq. This is a hypocrite. The one who doesn't believe in Islam in his heart, but he brings forth the actions of a Muslim. Would that help him? No, it won't help him. That person is in reality what? A hypocrite. He's a munafiq. Naam, he's a munafiq. طيب. So we know that's not going to help. وَلَا تَكْفِي الْأَعْمَالُ الْقَلْبِ عَنِ الْأَعْمَالِ الظَّاهِرِ. And likewise, the actions of the heart won't suffice from bringing forth apparent actions. The actions of the heart, they won't suffice from bringing forth the apparent actions. Naam. So if a person come now and he say, yes, I believe. Yes, I believe. But he doesn't do any actions. He doesn't pray. He doesn't fast. He doesn't do anything. Then is this person a Muslim? The one who doesn't pray. Tariqun Salat. Is he a Muslim? No. The one who doesn't pray intentionally. The one who doesn't pray intentionally, then he's what? He's a kafir. He's not a Muslim. He can't come down and say, but I believe in my heart, but I ain't going to pray. Then that person, what? He's not a Muslim. Due to the proofs and the evidences. Due to the proofs and the evidences. And this was what the Sahaba they were upon. This was what the Sahaba were upon. Like many of the ulama, they say, أن الصحابة يعني كفروا تارك الصلاة. They said that very the Sahaba, they make takfir on the one who don't pray. فَنُكَفِّرُ تَارِكُ الصَّلَاةِ. They say, so therefore we make takfir on those who don't pray. You understand? Because with the Sahaba, the one who don't pray was not a Muslim. This is why Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala, we said that what? That there is no portion of Islam for the one who don't pray. He has no portion of Islam. He can't have no claim to any part of Islam, the one who doesn't pray. So we understand that what? Not praying is kufr. Not praying is kufr. The person who says, I'm not going to pray, period, it's not on me, I don't have to, then this person is a kafir. No one disagrees with this. And the strongest of opinions with regards to the one who doesn't pray out of laziness, then this one has fallen into kufr. This one, he has fallen into kufr. If the proofs and evidences are established upon him and he remains upon that, then he will leave the Islam. But without the proofs and evidences being established upon him, then he's a Muslim who has fallen into kufr. Now, I mean, this is the strongest of the opinions with regards to this matter. As the ulama, they say, the Sahaba make takfir on them, so we make takfir on them. Now, so thus we understand that bringing forth the actions of the heart, saying or claiming that there's a belief, but yet you don't bring forth righteous good deeds, it's not going to benefit you. It's not going to benefit you. It has to be a coupling of the both. So you need them both. This is why there is no Islam without Iman. This is why there is no Islam without the Iman, and there's no Iman without the Islam. Now, so if they are mentioned together, then, so as to recap, if they're mentioned together, then Islam refers to the apparent actions, and Iman refers to the hidden actions, the actions of the heart. But if they are mentioned by themselves, then Iman enters into the Islam, and Islam enters into the Iman. So if Islam is mentioned by itself, then also we understand what? Iman. And if Iman is mentioned by itself, then we also understand what? Al-Islam. Because you cannot have one without the other. وَمِن ثَمَّ قَالَ الْعُلَمَاء. And from this standpoint, the ulama, they say, إِنَّ الْإِسْلَامَ وَالْإِيمَانَ إِذَا ذُكِرَا جَمِيعًا افترقا في المعنى. That this is why the ulama, they say that if Islam and Iman are mentioned together, then their meanings will separate. They will have each their specific meanings, as we explained. That Islam will mean the apparent actions, and Iman will mean the hidden actions. وَفُسِّرَ الْإِسْلَامِ بِكَذَا وَيُفَسِّرُ الْإِسْلَامِ بِكَذَا وَيُفَسِّرُ الْإِيمَانِ بِكَذَا, as we mentioned. وَإِذَا ذُكِرَ أَحَدُهُمَا فَقَطْ دَخَلَ فِي الْآخَرِ. And if one of them is mentioned alone, then the other will enter into it as well. Now, if one more detail upon this issue, then he can refer back to Kitab al-Iman al-Kabir, the Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, and the like. Also, he can look back to Fath al-Bari, as his issues also is discussed, and the like. And then the Shaykh, he moves into the next issue that is linked to Iman, and that is with regards to the one who embarks upon a major sin. But as we mentioned, we will save this inshallah ta'ala into the next class. As within this one class, you had quite a few topics and subtopics. So inshallah ta'ala نكتفي بهذا القدر, وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.